Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Empower Man podcast. It is Saturday night, and I feel all right. Well, I'm about 90%. Thanks for asking. The well wishes and the cards and the flowers were overwhelming. No,
The
only
stripper,
kidding.
the strippergram.
They were fantastic. I appreciate that. No, it is a Saturday night, and Greggy T and I are chilling. Definitely a lot different than the Saturday nights we used to spend. But you know what? These are more productive and they're more mature. But I am joined tonight by the Incredible Hulk himself, the man who made Hennessy and Hypnotic famous,
Oh,
the man who had a lifeless body outside of our hotel room in Las Vegas the first time he was there because he got too amped and had too much to drink. Word to the wise, when you go to Vegas for the first time, pace yourself.
yeah.
He is the man that made VIP famous at Tangerines at Treasure Island in Las Vegas many moons ago. He's hard to kill. He is the
Yeah.
champion of the Second Amendment. He is Captain Testosterone. The guy's test levels are that of an 18-year-old young man. He's strong, long, and down to get the, if you know the words to it.
Yep.
His anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, son, because baby got back. Greggy T, the king of the squat. My friend, my partner, my brother, my pal. Greg A. Tedora, numero uno. Sir, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. I also have my coffee, so it's going to be one of those nights. And thanks as always for the intro. All true, yet again. Pace yourself in Vegas and stay away from the Incredible Hulks because they'll get you. The girl that was serving us at lunch got me. I remember. So, yep.
But go to Treasure Island because Treasure Island has the best steaks. That was the best steakhouse one of the best steakhouses in Vegas I went to was at Treasure Island. So if that's still there, I'm sure it's not Tangerines anymore. But if it's still there, that club was awesome, man. I had so much fun at that place. And the nice thing was I was ordering liquor on someone else's credit card, so it's even better.
What was the name of that car company that had the biggest group of promiscuous women? Not car gurus. What the hell was it?
Not
Cars.com.
Carfax.
No. Come on, man.
Was it cars.com or something like that? Is that it?
Like that, man.
Oh
They
my
had a
Auto Trader.
convention.
Auto Trader.
Stay away from those women. Mike, not me.
Well, I mean, well, it was a different time.
It was a different time. It was a good time.
And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Autotrader.com.
Yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Moving right along, I want to give a shout out to all the military personnel out there, here and overseas. As always, you are respected, you are loved, and please be careful, please be safe, and we thank you each and every day.
And I want to follow up with a special shout out, love, appreciation, hugs and kisses, and thank you to our first responders, our policemen and women, our firemen and women, our EMTs. From the bottom of my heart and Greg's heart, we love you. Thank you so much for keeping our cities and our local municipalities safe.
And train up for the next couple months. Just start training now.
Oh yeah, we got 8 more months, and
It's coming.
Greggy T. Before you start, I don't want to make this political, but I have to. Trump is a genius for the fact that he just got socked. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get called on it, which is fine. If I get called out, totally cool. But I'm just saying, from what I read, and maybe I read it too quickly or my brain hasn't fully got back to its normal function yet. So Trump has to pay like a $350 million fine. He can't do business for like 3 years in the state of New York. So he sold Truth Social for $4 billion. And his company, Trump Digital or whatever it is now on like the stock exchange. It's going for like $50 a share. And I'm thinking to myself, like when you look at like 4 billion versus like 350 million, that'd be like probably us paying like a $500 fine.
It's just a speeding ticket. Pay it and laugh.
And it's like they just can't get him. Like they can't. Like you have to be a little, blind to the fact now that they're trying to bankrupt him, so he can't fund anything. Yeah. And I'm like, he just keeps like he's crazy. It's
listen, everyone knows I hate politics, but just be careful who you vote for and do your research on whatever issues mean the most to you and
Yes.
make a wise choice. I just want somebody that is good for the economy and good for our safety and our borders and our military, period. And but the only political thing I'm going to say in this is stop sending fucking money overseas. Just stop. Spend it here. Spend it protecting the schools, protecting the borders, giving it to the people of this country legally who need it. Stop sending that shit to Ukraine and all these shitty ass countries. Just stop. Let them fend for
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah. And it's funny, as much as we'll joke about politics and in a satire type of way. I mean, Trump does make some good points. I do feel like I'm living in a third world country at times when I see the crime, when I see the inflation, when you
Yeah.
see the divisiveness. It's really sad, really sad.
The
It's really sad.
divisiveness is at an all-time high. It's never been like this. Even
I've
when you and I
never in
were
my
back in
lifetime.
when you and I were back in school back in the day, there was like the black white thing. Okay, I get it, but it was nowhere near what it is now. It's worse. And plus add on all the other things that are going on. So it's a mess right now. But the only thing you could do, just get your house in order if it's not already. That's it. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah. No, I think people have to be prepared for everything. And
Hmm.
I just want to give a shout out to Shields of Strength. Got this cool little bracelet for $6.99. And it just kind of like keeps you on the straight path a little bit. I mean, I think, I know a lot of people that you talk to more and more turning towards like a higher power. And I don't think it's any coincidence that, I think with stuff going on in the world that people need something. People need some type of peace, some type of like they need something to hold on to. I mean, before you could trust your leaders and you could trust
Hmm.
certain aspects of
Yeah.
social life. But as a
Yeah.
rabbi, a friend of mine told me down here in Florida, he goes, "We put too much trust in man and not enough trust in God or a higher power." And I think you're seeing more and more people cling to that ideology. Like, I need something. I like this world is an empty place right now.
Yeah.
It's
People need
empty.
some sort of anchor to, like you said, gravitate towards something other than just the negative shit that's out there literally 24/7. It's the
Yeah,
same thing. It's like on a loop of disaster after disaster. It's horrible.
it is, and that's a great way to phrase that, Greg. It's a loop of disaster, and I
Hmm.
think along the way, it kind of leads into our topic tonight: overcoming disappointment. Because
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I get disappointed easily, and you know this. Girls will let me down.
Hmm.
Sometimes when I was working, jobs will let me down.
Yep.
We all know my sports teams let me down, so that's not even. You know, I can't buy a victory these days. And let's hope the Knicks get their act together.
The
You know,
Knicks. I couldn't name
sometimes
one player on that team, dude. I couldn't name one
Dude,
player.
Jalen Brunson, baby.
I don't even
Jalen
know who that
Brunson.
is.
Oh,
No
he's
idea
the
who that
man,
is.
dude. Jalen Brunson's the man. Julius Randle. Julius, the third ruler of Christ situation.
Never even heard of these people. Couldn't
Oh
point them out in a
man.
lineup.
Dude, they're awesome, man. They're so much fun. And they play hard and they don't there's no egos. It's like basketball like when we were growing up. They're so much fun to watch.
It's a bold statement, sir.
It is, and it's nice to see that. Like, it's just like, I feel like every angle we turn to now, there's always a political aspect in things, and things are
Hmm.
always, sometimes not on the level, and that can disappoint me, right? We know like
Hmm.
our leaders disappoint us. So I think what we need to do is kind of peel the layers back, Greg, and figure out what it means to be like what does disappointment mean to you? If you told me, like, Mike, I'm disappointed in you, or I'm disappointed in the Bulls, or I'm disappointed in, the
My
testosterone
test
that's not
levels.
working. Doc, by the way, my T levels are not where they're supposed to be. Or we hit up Kyle and be like, Kyle, I'm disappointed that I'm not 280 and ripped yet because I've been fasting for 7 days. Hi, Kyle.
What's up, Kyle?
You know,
Yeah, yeah. What does
what does it
disappointment
mean?
mean to me?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. It's some perceived expectation that someone has or that I have of either something, a situation, a job, a girl, anything, and it just doesn't measure up to that. But there's a gray area, in my opinion, because an expectation is something you make in your head. Sometimes it's not always a hardcore fact. It's not as simple as black or white or one plus one is two. So there's a little bit of leeway I'll give, but not much, because there's right and wrong. And when someone wrongs you or a job wrongs you, yeah, you're disappointed. So I think when the outcome's not what you either expected, envisioned, or hoped for, based off of either what you were told or the facts of the situation or what that person said they were. So,
Do you think expectations lead to disappointment?
yes. They can, if it's kind of like when you set goals and they're just like pie in the sky. I'm going to make 100 million next year. Could you? Of course you could. There's always that possibility, but what are the odds? So, can they lead to disappointment? Yeah, of course they can. Because if you don't check them, they can be unattainable. So it could be. However, also I think it's a double-edged sword. Setting expectations is a great thing, because you're holding somebody to a standard, or a person or a job or an object or whatever, to a certain standard you're hoping for. So it's like a dance almost. You have to balance that, in my opinion.
Well, that's my next question. How do you create that balance between realistic and unrealistic expectations? Where's that fine line?
I think it comes with time and experiences, both good and bad, because you can fall back on what has happened, or like for a job, for example, or with a company, you expected, it's a great company on paper, or the perception of it. And then when you get in the internals of the company, it's a disaster. It's a mess. And you had all these expectations because it's a Fortune 500 company. The owner's a billionaire. Like, everyone seems happy and all that. And then you get there, there's no structure, there's micromanaging. It's just a mess, the internals. So, yeah, that could be a disappointment, and I don't think there's anything wrong with setting those expectations, because that's the optics that they gave and that they want you to see. Oh, it's such a great company and they're so, work life balance and all that. Meanwhile, you get there and it's like work, 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 no breaks, work. And we don't care what you have to say. Just do what we say, even though it's wrong. I mean, I've experienced that in many different companies, and with jobs that I loved, and I probably would still be doing it if it wasn't for certain people in certain positions.
Mm.
So it's a tough balance to do it, but you got to just look back on experiences, and good and bad, and just see, am I setting them too high, which falls into like the relationships or the girls, because we're guys, we date girls. And am I setting the bar too high because no one seems to be hitting it, or is it just like a bad run right now and they're all shit? I don't know. What about you?
Well, that's the thing I was going to ask you with the bar being so high, and then like, is the bar set too high? Like, I don't think there's such a thing. I think
I
it's
don't
just a
either.
matter. I think it's a matter of having that idea of what you're looking for and not settling. Because we talked about this on previous episodes. A lot of
Mhm.
people settle just to settle. So like,
Of course.
no one's hitting the bar, so let me just lower it so I can not be alone, and that leads to another domino effect of disappointment,
Absolutely. It's
right?
absolutely right. It's like the last kid to get picked in a dodgeball. So, I mean, I pretty much everyone can know somebody that it's like the last two people in high school that aren't married. And look, magically they end up together. Magically they have kids. It's like you can like write that script. It's the same shit all the time. They're settling, and it's just like there's no one left. There's no one
Right?
left. So let's just get together. And like, I'm sorry, I'm not down for that.
Yeah.
I rather be alone. But I think you're right with, there's nothing wrong with setting expectations or the bar high, because that goes with self-confidence and self-worth and your non-negotiables and your moral fiber and the core values that you have, that someone has. So why wouldn't you set your bar super high? And if those people can't measure up, then just don't fuck with them and find somebody that will, because they are out there. You just got to find them. And everyone's quick to, like you said, everyone wants that instant gratification. If your bar is high and you stick to it, you're not going to find somebody right away. It's hard. You got to sift through all the shit to get to somebody good. So there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think as guys, there's a battle that rages on within us because there are girls that we want to just strictly have a physical relationship with, and
Hmm.
then there's the girls that you want to settle down with.
Hmm.
And I know as a guy, me personally, and you could probably test this when you were single. It's the battle of, all right, well, she may not be as attractive as like others you've dated,
Hmm.
but she emotionally has her stuff together, which is very rare. But
Yeah,
yet we're still looking for like that cheerleader, playboy,
of course.
playmate. Like we're still
Of
looking for
course.
that fantasy of that doesn't exist. That I
Hmm.
think social media pervades in our mind, paints that portrait of what we're looking for. Oh, she's so hot, or she does this. And we talked about OnlyFans and Instagram and TikTok and all the things that are out there that can
Yeah.
cloud both guys and girls' judgment. So it becomes kind of like a battle as a
Yeah.
guy. And it's like, well, I don't want to lower the bar, but we've talked about, we talk about this, and even my girlfriends, I have needs, right?
Hmm.
Everyone said it. People that are listening to this, if you've never thought it or said it, you're a hypocrite,
You're
right?
full of shit.
You're full. We all have physical needs. We all have mental needs. We all have emotional. We all have needs, you know. And I think one of the things that I've kind of had challenges with in my life, I'll be open about it, is like I kind of want things the way when I want them because I love being alone.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like why I stayed single for majority of my life, because I think for me it's like I want a girl at this time. I don't want to be with them all the time, and it cost me. It robbed me. That mindset, prevented me now as I'm trying to go and correct those patterns of behavior. But I know I'm sure there are a lot of guys out there that feel the same way in regards to like wanting something when you want it, and then not wanting it, the rest of the time.
But I
So
disagree with you, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that at all. I don't,
well,
and I don't think there's anything
yeah.
wrong, and I don't think it hindered anything at all. Not at all.
Well, and I think as you get older, like as you get older, like you're kind of you're more set in your ways. Like you don't
Yeah,
tolerate a lot of stuff
hundred
anymore.
percent.
So it's like if you're gonna bring someone into the puzzle, you got to make sure it's the right fit.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I think again, setting the bar too high is there's nothing wrong with it. But I guess as a guy, it's like anything else, even a girl too. A girl's have needs. I mean, a lot of my girlfriends will tell me like, "Hey, a very good friend of mine, told me this, and we joked about it. When she had gotten divorced, long story short, her doctor said if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So
Hmm.
she had a lot of fun
Yeah.
after she got divorced, and
Yeah.
she's a good friend of mine, and it's kind of like we all have needs, but it's like you have to identify: do you want a relationship or do you want something casual? And then let that bar. If the bar for a casual thing is here and a bar for a relationship is there, we need to make sure that this gap doesn't get blurred. So we know, like, hey,
Yeah.
even for girls out there, this is just my buddy. We have a very good friend of ours that she has her crew. Yeah, she has her people. But as far as relationship goes, it's not there. It's
Hmm.
there. It is what it is. And until
Hmm.
one of those guys step up, maybe she'll entertain a relationship. But I
Yeah.
think, with setting the bar, we have to really delineate what we want from that person and what we're expecting out of that person. Is that fair
And
to
I
say, Greg?
think, yeah,
Okay.
and I think no, it's perfect because I think it's like a two-part thing. The last people to get picked for the dodgeball that end up together. That's just that to me. That's almost like an arranged thing. It's like an unarranged, arranged marriage. Call it,
Mm.
but everybody wants. Or I'll talk about guys now. Guys want a hot chick or whatever, and guys want like the crazy sex and all that shit, which is cool. And they think that they need to settle and put that stuff aside. Like, okay, that was great, but like, I can't have a relationship with somebody like that. And I don't think that's true. And I think because I think that'll lead to down the road a division in whoever they, I don't want to say settle or end up with, because if that is a part of them, but they don't have that with this person, they're not being honest with themselves, that person not being open, vulnerable, and completely communicative with their stuff. And I just think it's you don't have all the slices of the pie. You might have 8 out of 10, which is great, but don't you want the whole thing? So it's a hard thing to step back and take stock in your relationship in all those different facets of the sexual stuff, the emotional stuff, the non-nagging, leave me alone, time away, time apart. What do you bring to the table? What do you don't bring to the table? Wants and needs, everything, financial stuff. So it's like you have to. I think you can have it all, but you have to be willing to be brutally honest with that person with everything, and them you. It's a complete two-way street. There's no listen. The best relationships are the ones where you can have uncomfortable conversations without any worries or fear of judgment or anything. And I don't care what anybody says. That is the minority of most people. Most people do not have that. Everyone wants to say they have it for the optics and oh look, we're so happy. But are you really truly 100% happy? And 90% is great, but that's not 100. That's not my question. So if you want 100%, you got to do the work and be willing to be completely vulnerable and open, but you can't judge. You cannot judge the person because you don't want them judging you for your shit. And but that's everyone struggles with that. And I'm going to
Of
say
course.
everyone, and because our it's a natural thing to judge right out of the gate.
Right.
Oh, she did this or oh, she dated that person, judge. Oh, Greg and Mike were here and Greg and Mike did this, judge. You can judge all you want. We're good guys. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not saying we made the best decisions in our lives, but no judging. And I think people have a hard time doing that. No one wants to be judged, but people are so fast to judge.
Of course.
And I can't stand that
Of
because
course.
usually it's all just fake shit. It's all for show.
Of course.
It's all to check a box. Oh, look, I'm married. Check. I have kids. Check. I'm a. I have a career. Check. Like, you're checking the boxes, but how do those boxes look? Most of them are shit boxes. So there's a difference. Yeah, technically they're checked, but it's garbage. So sorry, that was a
No.
long-winded thing, but I'm a big proponent of not judging. Don't judge. It will bring people closer. Even if you have like the worst news to share to somebody, if they're cool with you, it should be okay. Should be okay.
Right. And you make two great points you made, and I'm gonna follow up with that. Judgment and disappointment can kind of go hand in hand because if a
Yeah.
girl or someone lets you down, let's just
Hmm.
say a girl cancels on a date last minute, or let's just say a guy, does something to a girl that is not, in good taste.
Hmm.
We're so quick to judge, oh, he's an asshole.
Hmm.
He's this or she's this, but
Hmm.
we have no idea what's going on in their head. We have no
Yeah.
idea if they had a bad day. We don't know if they were like, we have no idea what happens because we're so quick to judge. So when we
Yeah.
get disappointed, it's one of those things where we have to be so quick not to judge. Like
Yeah.
if a girl doesn't like me, oh, well, okay, you can say a lot of things like, oh, F her, or she's this, or she's that. Or you can just say, hey, you know what? It wouldn't have been the right fit anyway.
Or how about
Or
finding out
something,
why?
finding
Be
out
like,
why.
listen, I don't want to waste your time, but like, if you don't mind, can you let me in a little bit? Did I do
That's
something
great.
wrong? Could I have done something better? Because then you can take that and maybe help yourself down the road with somebody else or the next person.
That's right. And that's it's a great point. It's all about feedback, right? Feedback's all information.
It's like an exit interview at a company,
Exactly.
which
It's it.
which most companies don't do anymore, and they used to, and they should still. You learn the most about employees on those exit interviews, in my opinion.
Well, I think we're all woke these days, man. So I probably exit
Yeah,
interviews don't fit in the
woke.
ideologies, you know. But enough about that. I want to mention one last thing.
Mm,
I didn't mean to kind of jump so quickly, but I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of being woke. You said optics, Greggy
mm,
T, and
yes.
social media is all about the optics. And I think social media provides an optic where you see a girl who is very attractive, who happens to be single, who
Huh.
happens to post every detail of her life online because we all know that businesses and everything that's done digitally now, and it's all about the
Mhm,
logarithms and being liked and all this stuff. But there's a certain optic that a guy or a girl can present that can give someone who's watching this content hope, which can lead to disappointment when they don't get a response back when you slip into their DMs, or when you don't hear back from someone, or when people
mhm.
will read one message but not read a bunch of messages, or when they'll be like they big league you and like, oh well, yeah, you're nice, but I'll hit you up when I have a moment. Meanwhile, no one's that busy to hit you up. So these
Yeah.
things play in your head. So Greg, social media plays a role in providing optics, um, false narratives. In some cases, the true narratives. And we don't want to be judgmental here.
Mhm.
How do we, as guys and girls, avoid the pitfalls of falling into the disappointment trap of social media?
Just take it for what it is. At the first and foremost, it's entertainment. And there's different types of entertainment. You have like I will use the TV, you have movies, you have reality TV, which is usually scripted, and it's the same thing with social media. It's entertainment. So it's visual first, always. Like Instagram is visual. And because nowadays most people don't read, so it's a quick picture or something just to get the attention. You have like a 1 to 2 second window to grab their attention, and then maybe they read the first couple words of what you have written. So there's got to be a hook there too, and this is a good marketing technique as well for any business. So then hook one is get that visual, hook two is get the first, I'll say 4 to 5 words, not even the first sentence, for 4 to 5 words. And they got to get hooked on that. And then they read the whole thing. Now you got them because they're interested. And guess what? They're going to go to your page and they're going to see all this shit. So it's, it's hard to avoid the pitfalls unless you know what you're looking at. If you're a guy just looking at like hot chicks, that it is what it is. You're not, the odds of you going on a date with them or whatever, just stop. Just stop. It's not likely. There's not a lot of game out there anymore. You and I talk about it all the time. No one talks. So it's know what it is. That's the easiest thing to avoid any pitfalls of disappointment. Just know what you're doing. You're on there for entertainment, you're bored, they call it like just, screen surfing. It's horrible. It's such a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's fun if you're like going to the bathroom or on a plane or whatever, but it's not like real. It's just not real. But this younger generation, that's how they learn, that's how they communicate. So to them, it's real. It's where they get their news from, and it's wild, man. It's wild.
Yeah, and I think reality has been kind of blurred lately.
Yeah.
I think over the last 4 years, I would say
Hmm.
reality has been tested in what is and what isn't real in
Of
all
course.
areas of life.
Hmm.
You know,
It's funny,
so
like you'll see a girl on social media on like Instagram, and she's attractive or whatever. You go to her page, just see how many pictures it takes before you see her ass. That tells you all. Usually it's like 3, 4, and then it's right there. And then you go look at their link tree, and it's like all the paid sites they're on. It's like, yeah, this is just a revenue stream, which I'm not hating on. I'm a business guy. I get it. They want to make their money like that, fine. But don't bitch and moan if you can't find a good guy, because good guys don't want that.
premium content.
Premium content. Yes, correct. Premium. Hmm.
You know, yeah. So I mean, you answered that really, really good. I know when I get disappointed, I get this feeling inside my gut. Like it's like I'm like a gut punch. I just feel like this like uneasiness in my gut, and my heart starts beating kind of fast. And like there's certain feelings that you get with
Hmm.
disappointment because then you get like confused, you get angry, you become resentful, you become bitter, you become like
You
this
hit
F this
all the
attitude.
emotions on that roller coaster, all of them.
That one thing. I
Yep.
mean, what? I mean, are there any feelings that you get when you get disappointed, or have you moved kind of past that in your life? Or
No, I think it's, I don't care what stage in life you're at. I think you definitely feel emotions when you're disappointed, anger. And I'm a proponent. Anger is not a bad thing. If you can work through it, anger is just another emotion. It's like sad. It just
yeah,
gets a bad reputation. Like sad's fine if you can work through it. Anxiety is good. It can lead to positive things if you can control it and don't let it control you. Same thing. So yeah, when I get disappointed in a company or a job or whatever, yeah, I get pissed. And then I work through that. And then if I care enough to take the time to break it apart and see why what happened or why what's going on is going on, then I can look with a clear head and be like, okay, and you know what? Usually it's, oh, I don't want to be with that company anyway. If that's their values or if that's their vision or if they're, stuck in the past on something, that is what it is. That's why I like doing things myself, like you. We've worked for big companies. We're very grateful to have worked for big companies. We learned a lot. We learned what we liked, what we don't like, what works in the public, what doesn't work in the public, how to treat people, and more importantly, how not to treat people. How to get people to do the most work in the shortest amount of time. And those are invaluable lessons, in my opinion. Those are great, and I will take them my whole life. But it still doesn't mean they weren't. You know, it wasn't meant to be being at that company. So I take the good with the bad. I learn. I move on.
right. And I think that's the one thing we can think about when it's overcoming disappointment with girls, especially as a guy.
Mm,
It's like you talked about expectations, not judging them, not having expectations, and trying to find that line. Like if I think it's got to come down to us being comfortable with ourselves because we can't put all our eggs in someone's basket. It's not fair to that person.
yeah.
We can't let if a guy doesn't hear back from a girl and he's waiting and waiting and waiting all day and he doesn't get what he's looking for or she doesn't get what she's looking for, then that's not fair to that individual in
Hmm.
regards to your basing your happiness and
Yeah.
your mood based upon a response from
Yep.
someone that doesn't owe you anything. That they don't owe you unless it's a specified situation. But if it's someone you just met, they don't owe you a response right away. They don't.
Nope.
They have their own
And
life.
but that's also why I personally never believed in like playing that game. If a girl gave you her number, I'm gonna call you. I'm not waiting 2 days or like, oh, you gotta wait
Yeah.
3 days and like calling the eve.
Nope.
I remember um a woman I dated in the past. We lived in the same complex and we all used to go to the pool and we had like I had like a pool clique there, like a bunch of people that we all hung out and had a good time. And I met her like that. And I remember gave me her number. And that's when I was like riding motorcycles. She actually had a motorcycle of her own. I called, that was in the afternoon. I called her that night. Not to go out, but to call, be like, hey, what's up? Appreciate you giving me your number. Listen, let's go out on a date. Let's go out on bikes and just, go to dinner or something. That's what we did. It was cool. But like, why would I wait if just to play a game like that? I don't like that. It's a waste of time, in my
And that's
opinion.
what's missing these days. Is that type of like
Yeah. But a good friend of
yeah.
mine also told me, and I really like this because I wasn't thinking like that. So you had said earlier, the guy that's waiting all day for that call or waiting a couple days for that call, you can't give that person the power
That's right.
to to have that overuse where you're stalled in your life and your daily routines and all of
Mhm.
that. And it's like when you date a girl and you guys break up and you guys always used to go to this, like, I don't know, one restaurant, let's just say, because you really liked it, you like the food or whatever, and the person's like, oh well, I can't go there anymore. Why not? Well, that, I might run into them or I don't want to see them, or which I understand, but you're giving them all this power, like, to not go to a place that you personally enjoyed. that to me was a great lesson in don't give them the power to stop you from doing or going anywhere you want.
Yep.
I really am thankful because I was not even thinking like that. And it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson.
It is because I know me when I part ways with somebody, like I disappear. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, no numbers get blocked, social
Mhm.
media, I
Mhm.
vanish. Like if I
Mhm.
go to the same restaurant that a girl I know is going to, I won't go back for I'll reappear, but I
Mm.
disappear for like, a while and then I
Mhm.
resurface
Yeah.
because I just feel like for me to get over someone, like I need that. But you are absolutely correct. I think, as guys, and I
Yeah.
think you're seeing the trend more in guys than in girls, we give the power to the girls so quickly.
Yeah. Don't let
We're,
anybody take your power.
no,
Nope.
no, not
Nope.
at all. And I think,
Mm-mm.
again, you mentioned it, self love, self confidence. But again, when it
Self-respect.
self respect, and it all ties into how disappointment can affect you.
Yeah.
We always say all good, all good, all
Mhm.
good, because it's a mnemonic thing where it keeps the mind straight so that you don't go down a path of
Mhm.
now everyone out there can have their own catchphrase or something
Yep.
that they want to use or invoke when something may not go the way they want it to go. But again, all good that we use is a way to keep us straight.
Yep.
It allows us from going down that pitfall of
And it's
disappointment.
also putting that energy in the universe, which
Right.
not to get all like touchy-feely shit, but I believe in that. I know you believe in that. Words matter, and if you're gonna put something out there, it should be positive, and it should be in your favor.
I agree.
Mhm.
Moving on, and I want to carry on with that energy, right?
Mhm.
Especially in the workplace. I can remember, like, not getting something that I wanted at a job, whether it's a title, a position, and it for
Mm.
me, it just fueled the fire even more.
Mhm.
And it just gave me a bigger chip on my shoulder. But then it drove me insane because I would obsess and infatuate over,
Yeah.
like, I got rejected. So now I'm
Mhm.
disappointed. F these people. I'm going to prove these people wrong. And it was more the
Mhm.
detriment to myself because I would work myself to the point where it would make me sick.
Yeah.
So, Greggy T, in positions that you've been in the past, how did you overcome disappointment at a job?
Getting another one.
That is, hey, that's plausible. That is the
It's
way to
it's
do it.
part of it, but all joking aside, you know what? Just I stayed focused on my craft and what excites me and what my wheelhouse was. So the company I was with, where I managed a large office of agents, we used to have the workshops. You've heard me say it before
Of
with
course.
some of the other managers who I'm still tight with to this day. We're actually going to lunch next week, and
Nice.
yeah, Dave said to say hi, by the way. And we used to do these workshops, and they were growing exponentially. And for some reason, the executive team, which I use that term lightly, it was just the dad and his sons. That's the executive team,
Oh,
and the CFO, but whatever. And who doesn't know anything about real estate? They never supported these workshops, and but it's funny that they used them and piggybacked them to their benefit when it suited them,
of
but they
course.
never supported us, and which is fine. We don't need their support. We still did them anyway, and they were growing. The agents loved it, and it's a great retention tool. Which retention leads to recruiting, which that's what they want us to do. You want to recruit? Well, this is a great way to do it while keeping your retention high, while educating the agents and making them better, which they make more money, which in turn makes the company more money. Imagine that. So I remember when the when one of the mortgage guys, the head guys, who no one liked, he's like a joke,
Mhm.
wanted all of a sudden knew that these were very popular and wanted to get involved. And the other managers asked me, I said, no, don't do it. But they wanted to be company people, which I get. So okay, fine. I got outvoted. That's fine, no big deal. And we did our we did our workshop, and as usual, everyone came up to certain managers after because they gravitate towards them. And a lot of the people came up to me, like, thanking me. They really liked my message because I'm real with them. I don't give them corporate bullshit or like canned answers. I give them like real life experience, and I help their mindset with their confidence. So, people were like really cool with all that. And then we had a conference call with the executive team and this guy who was there. And by the way, our workshop was 3 hours, and we gave them, the mortgage people, the floor first. And the head of it, he's a little Napoleon complex guy. This guy did like a 5-minute bullshit, I'll call it speech. No one paid attention, couldn't grab anybody's eye contact. It was just awkward. But then when he was done, this is not the right way to do things. He got his little backpack on and left. That was our event. You stay for the whole thing. In my opinion, proper business etiquette, that's just me. If you're high up in a company, you should stay and show support to everybody. It's a bad look. And to be honest, a lot of the agents were disappointed, and I would be too if I was an agent. I was disappointed as a manager that this guy just tucked tail and run after delivering a shitty speech that no one cared about. So fast forward to later on in the afternoon, we're on a conference call. He's on there, and the executive team is on there. And he stopped everything. He goes, I just want to thank, and he named the 3 managers and left me out on purpose.
Wow.
And that was disappointing. So that's why I'm tying into this. And I was irate.
I would be
Inside,
too.
I was like, wow, you weren't even invited. We didn't want you here. And you were the worst one out of all of us. Nobody likes you. Nobody respected what you had to say. And I know, because he named everybody. He goes, I want to thank boom, boom, boom. Meanwhile, me and Dave started these from scratch for a year and a half before that. So he knew damn well how these are. So then Dave immediately was like, and Greg too, and Bubba, like, tried to, do the right thing because Dave's awesome. And he was like, oh yeah, and Greg. I was so disappointed, yet I shouldn't have been, because he's a piece of shit and he's not respected, and he's just like one of the good old boys in the company. He's a loser. And so to tie it into disappointment, yeah, I rode those emotions, and this wasn't that long ago. So I don't think you get over that. What I did was I got mad and I moved on. And I remember after the call, like, he sent me an email. I didn't even read, I deleted it. And I remember Dave calling me, and he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, that's such bullshit. I'm like, it's okay, Dave. It's all good. Because what I did was, once I got mad or whatever, then I just threw that shit away because I don't want to give that little midget any power. And I just stayed focused on my craft, which was helping the agents grow their business, keeping them happy, keeping them focused, getting my office making a lot of money. And I just back in my zone. I would not give that guy any power over what I like to do and who I like to do it for. It's hard, but that was a major disappointment. So,
Yeah, you're just like a footnote, right? Oh, and Greg.
and he only said that because my friend stepped up, because if he didn't, it was just those 3 managers, which is wild to me. But that was a purposeful thing he did, because he knew I didn't like him and I don't respect him, and vice versa. So it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. And insecurities can reap its ugly head, especially when
Of
it comes to
course.
disappointment as
Of
well.
course. And when you're 5'3", I mean, that doesn't really help either. Whatever.
Yeah, well, if I keep shrinking, I'll be getting there soon. I got to tell you, my spine
Yeah.
is getting smaller and smaller and smaller as I get older. So yeah, that's a great story you told, and it's like definitely it's a great way to really illustrate about power
Yeah.
and taking the power back.
Yeah. Because
And
I check myself. I'm like, this guy shouldn't get me mad. This guy's a loser. And no one even liked him and wanted him there anyway. Everyone was happy with everyone else's value and what they brought to the table. Like, you're not even welcome there. So now
Yeah.
it went back to, yeah, you are a joke. Like, shoot. So whatever.
Well, we covered a lot of topics with disappointment today, but I
Yeah.
think one thing I think one thing that we can use as people is forgiveness. I think as a great way to overcome disappointment
It's
and
your
being let
area,
down.
sir. That's your area.
Yeah, I've gotten better at it. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a work in progress.
Not
I
me.
think there's a cooling out period. You gotta be alone with yourself,
Mm,
get that out of your system. Like you said, anger it can be a good thing,
yeah.
but I think when you get rejected or you get let down, I think
Hmm.
you should let those emotions out. I don't think you should do it outwardly. I think you can do it
Hmm.
internal and keep it in a square
Yeah.
space, a safe
Yeah.
space for you. And then once it's out of your system, just take a step back and relax and be like, all right, hey, look, maybe this guy is trying to get his dad's approval, which is why he's putting you down at work. Or maybe maybe there's a family turmoil that we know nothing about that has nothing to do with you. I'm just saying as a way to forgive that guy for leaving you out, because the important thing is that you knew that you impacted the agents and what
Yeah. And
they
that's all
thought.
that should really matter.
Well, it really matters at the end of the day,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
you can't really silence the majority, and you're
Hmm.
seeing that now in society. And I want to ask you your perspective, Craig, on. And you told me that I'm good at it. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm
Yeah,
only as
you are.
good. I'm only as good as the camera shows. Off camera, I do practice it, but it is hard, and it's something
You
that you have
listen,
to really think
for the
about.
listeners, you definitely practice it. Like, I know you do, and I see you do it. And when I say certain things, you try to bring that lens to me, like, well, just maybe they're this or maybe they're going through that, which is true. But you are way better at than me, because like something like that, like, yeah, I don't forgive him. I don't even, but that's a bad example because I don't even care about him. He's like, he's
Right.
just a loser, so no one respects him. He's like, but with other people or other things, I have a hard time forgiving. That's just
It's
me.
okay to forgive. It's okay to forgive, not forget, right? So you
Yes,
learn your lessons.
totally. But it's the forgiveness is hard. I agree with that, but forgiveness for me is hard. It's
Well,
hard.
yeah, and I think it's hard for a lot of people because I know, I can be vindictive, I can be vengeance, I can go. Before I was
Mm.
work trying to go a different way in life, it was like, oh, the Bible says eye for an eye. I mean, how we've used that before. I didn't even open up a page of the Bible. I was like, oh, the Bible says an eye for an eye, so it justified my rage, right?
Hammurabi's code, man. I'm a firm believer in that.
So
Hmm.
I think if even just in society, and look, I'm guilty of letting something happen and then catching myself and not catching myself before it happens. Even if you get into a conversation about politics,
Hmm.
obviously we had Ford on here. Ford is one of my closest friends. He's
What's
in
up,
the inner
Ford?
circle, right? And Ford taught me how to be. Ford gave me the rules of the road when it comes to politics. Now, was it good, bad, or indifferent? No. He just laid out the facts, and I decided what side
Hmm.
of the fence I wanted to play on.
Yeah.
And I think, when you try to talk to somebody who may not be rational, especially in politics, and they just come at you in every which way,
Hmm.
we have to understand that, you know, um, emotional intelligence plays a big role in how we perceive disappointment. I really believe that. And if we can put ourselves in the other person's shoes, or if we
Mm.
could put on our emotional intelligence hat before we even step into a conversation with somebody who might not be that rational, you know, forgiveness and compassion go hand in hand. Because, like myself, like inside, I was wounded. I still am, wounded. And it's like, there are a lot of people out there, guys and girls, that are wounded, and they can work through it, but sometimes it still kind of seeps through. And
Mhm.
I think as a society, we're not as compassionate as we used to be. We're not as forgiving as we're
Yeah.
supposed to be. In fact, I just, as I was leaving the golf course earlier, I got into it with a lady who was trying to cross the street, and she's like, "You didn't even see me." I'm like, "She wasn't even close to my car." So I unrolled the window because, I wasn't thinking. And I said, "Excuse me, do you have something to say?" She's like, well, you almost hit me. I'm like, the stop sign's right there, ma'am. And I drove off. Now, what I would have done is I would have circled back around and pulled up next to her car and probably cursed her out. Right. But you learn, right?
I don't know what
But
you're talking about.
you learn in time
Yeah.
just by practicing. It's like, I wasn't mean. I
Mhm.
said my piece and I just let it go. Now, was I cursing this lady out from the time I left the golf course to Chipotle? Yes. But thank God, trust Chipotle before I came on the air. Right. So, but I had about 5 to 10 minutes to blow off that steam. When I went to Chipotle and I took that first forkful of my custom bowl, it just went away.
It's that rat meat, man.
It's high in protein, bro. Don't knock it till you try it. Yo, straight from Wuhan, bro.
Oh, shame. Mhm.
Sorry.
Yeah, man.
But anyway, Greggy T, let me ask you this question before we go down another
Yeah.
rabbit hole.
Yep.
Why do you think it's important to forgive, even if you're not good at it? Like, why do you think forgiveness is important when it comes to disappointment, just from a logical standpoint?
Just for yourself. It just helps yourself. Fuck everybody else or the person that hurt you or the company that hurt you or the job, whatever. It's for you. And I'm talking shit right now because I'm not good at it, but at least I know that it's for me. And it'll help me move on or get to the place I need to be or not think about that ever again. And I just keep reminding myself the forgiveness is for you, not for them.
That's right. Forgiveness sets you free. And
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was, oh, you have to forgive that person. And I'm like, I was always like, man, fuck that person, whatever. And it's not about them. It's not about them. It's about you. The forgiveness helps you clear all that shit out and that energy and the negativity and all that. So I'm getting there slowly. So I don't know if I'm a big Shia LaBeouf fan. I like that kid. And he got a lot of heat in the past and a lot of people don't like him and he went through some times, whatever. I don't hate, I don't judge. But I saw him in an interview. It's about The Real Ones, it's called. And man, it was powerful. I've always liked him, but I really respect the work he's put in and what he's about now. And I really, not that he's listening, but I really respect what he said. He went through some shit and he's learning, or he learned what I just said that I'm learning. It's not about the other person. It's about you. And that's what I'm starting to realize. The forgiveness is for me.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great way to like Mamba out, like mic drop. That's a great way to end this. Forgiveness is about
I'm learning this at 46.
Hey, at least you're learning it. Some people never learn it, dude.
Yeah, because I was looking at it wrong. I was looking at it like, the forgiveness for that person. Like, no, nope. And my whole life I thought that. That's why I was like, I'm not fucking forgiving people. Nope. It's not for them. It's for me to release that weight. I don't want to walk around with that shit on me. Like you said, you can't be rational with an irrational person. And you're going to walk around with that heavy bullshit. It's not even your bullshit. So why are you carrying their stuff? Yeah. Like I said, it's a work in progress. And I hate that fucking term. And you know that. But it really is. It applies here.
Every day is a work in progress, man. As long as our feet hit the ground, we have another day to practice being better. And I think as men and women, we have to constantly, we talk about a self-evaluation, but it's always striving to be better. Even if it's just a little bit better than yesterday. I know one thing I do that's helped me out to release that is pray for those that have hurt me, or pray for those that have, like, just wish them well. Like we always say, like, oh, you can wish somebody well from a distance or mentally, like with girls that we broke up with, like girls that I haven't that I dated, that I was in love with, that didn't end well. I send them nothing but peace and love and joy. Now, do I need to pick up the phone and call them? No, but I can wish that to them mentally. I can send it in the universe. Gosh, I hope so and so is, their family's well and they're in good health and their
and you mean that?
And I mean that 100%. 100%.
I'm not doubting you. I'm asking, like, for the people that are like, does he really mean that?
Yes, because every relationship teaches you. I remember when I first went on a
That's true.
journey, years ago when you were with me. I remember I called up, a girl that I dated for 3 years, probably probably one of my longest relationships, and it was very tumultuous, and you were there for 95% of it. And I remember after I stopped talking to her, I called her up
Oh my God.
and I said, I called him. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm doing these things, but I said I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for you, and I wanted to say thank you." And she sat. You could hear a pin drop. She's like, "Mike, I put you through hell. Why are you doing this?" And I said, "You know what? You did the best you could at that time in your life, and it wasn't
Yeah.
all bad. We had a lot of fun, a lot of crazy times, but you know what? That experience got me to this point.
Yeah.
And everybody we come in contact with, whether it's a relationship, friendship, business,
Hmm.
whatever it is, some can hinder us and some can help us get to that next level. We need to be able to delineate. And we also have to keep in mind, we say this a lot at my church. It's the John 10:10 life. Simply states that there's an enemy out there or a thief. And that thief or that enemy, their purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. And what does that mean? Rob you of your dreams, rob you of your visions, deny you your potential, deny you your hope, deny you of whatever you want in life. But if you believe in something, doesn't have to be God, it could be the
Hmm.
universe or something like that. You know, if you have a belief in something that's good or a higher power, I'll take God for my example. You know, God's purpose in believing in Jesus is to give you a rich and satisfying life. And it's like kind of crazy. It's like, well, if I believe in God, I can't really like do what I used to do. I'm bored with that. But then when you really evaluate things as you mature, and we have friends, we just talked about this online. We have friends that are out there living life, and we like, well, I wonder if that's kind of empty because it's the same thing over and over again. Like you said, doesn't that kind of get boring? Like, is their life satisfying and rich? Now, it might be on the surface, but inside, what do you really feel? Because there's an enemy out there that's trying to rob them of that happiness, and that happiness is falsified in the optics, going out there, being the party person. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So when it comes to disappointment, there's a spiritual battle out there that it's as emotional as it is to get disappointed and to get let down. That there's something that's trying to rob us. Like, oh, hey, Mike, you just got let down by a girl. Let's go get messed up tonight. Let's go drink. Let's go find a chick and let's go do what we did 15 years ago. Or hey, Greg, you know what? Like this shit's going down. Let's go back to what we did 20 years ago. Or let's go back to doing this, right? Because
Yeah.
there's it. Or even just someone to sabotage, like, oh, it didn't work out with this job. Oh, Greg, you're a loser. Like
Mm.
you're not gonna find a job like this because those doubts creep in your mind.
Hmm.
It's a
And for all the
thief.
people out there listening to what Mike has to say,
Done.
no girl, no job defines who you are. No amount of money defines who you are. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Yes, we all want certain things. People want to make a lot of money, but that's not who you are as a person. And I wish more people thought quality over like quantity. You know, people equate a job to success or a
Of
monetary
course.
value to success. Like, oh, you're not a man till you make X amount of money. You're not a
Right,
man
right,
till
right, 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 right,
you're
right.
with, 1,000 chicks. Like, yo, none of that shit matters, man. Are
Right.
you a good person? Are you a good friend? That's what matters. Are you there? If you could pick up your phone, like, hold on. I have 4 friends. 4, and you know who they are. 4. I could pick up the phone to any of the 4 and ask for something. I can ask for the most fucked up thing. Sure, no problem. And vice versa. Those 4 people can call, same thing. I can say I need to hide out for a month. The FBI is looking for me. Sure, no problem. I have no problem with that. And I know they don't either. Like that, you're not defined by a job or a 9 to 5 or monetary value or possessions or anything like that. It's wild to me because people are still all about that.
Of
And
course.
I don't care what anybody says. I rather be poor and happy with my 4 friends because that makes you rich.
That's right. And
Hmm.
I remember, and I'll end it with this on my end. Um, at the end of It's a Wonderful Life, George Bailey's brother comes back from the war and toasts up, I think it was eggnog or a drink. He says, "To my brother George, the richest man I ever met." And it was because when times got tough, everybody came together and you realize how many friends you have and the family you have and the love you have. And you can't put a price on that.
Nope.
So this was awesome topic tonight, Greggy T.
Yeah, pretty
Awesome
good.
topic. Dropped a lot of knowledge bombs. Greg T. So give us a little bit more about Forever Progress. Where can our listeners who are in the real estate field or anybody in general get a hold of you for some one-on-one coaching and just to have a chat?
Yeah, man. So foreverprogress.com, Forever Progress on Instagram. Hit me up, DM me if you have any questions. I am by far the cheapest coach out there. I made it that price for a reason because I want it to be accessible to everybody. I know a lot of new agents don't have a lot of money. So everyone has a cup of coffee. And that's what the equivalent is daily for my fee. You know what I charge. And it's I'm going to say this because I said this on my calls this week because a lot of people are telling me they used to take some of these other coaches. And I go, if you don't mind me asking, because I don't like talking shit about people, but who was it? And they would tell me, and I'm like, they've never sold any real estate before, though. So how are they a real estate coach? I never understood that. So it's a lot to be said with mine's just based off of pure experience and in the actual industry, and I've done everything that you guys are doing. I've started from nothing. I wasn't handed shit, so here I am. So I actually had a great call this week. He's actually down in Florida. He's in the Panhandle, and just helping him grow his business now too. And I actually met him through the coaching group that I'm in.
Oh wow!
So it's pretty interesting that way. And I had an interview this week with a big real estate company that is looking for coaches on a huge platform. So we'll see. Talking to them. I got another meeting on Tuesday and could be a good opportunity. And I wasn't even going to take the call. So you never know when one door closes, another one opens. When that door closes, another one will open. Just keep it moving. And you never know. Take all meetings. Always keep your options open, even if you're in the best job ever. Have conversations with people because you never know. So,
100%
yep.
confirmed. I couldn't have said it any better.
Yeah.
Well, Greggy T, Saturday nights are not the same as they were years ago, but you know
Boy,
what?
is that disappointing.
But you know what, though? I'm in a much
Just
better
kidding.
place. My cat is sleeping on my chair in my office as we speak.
Of course.
On her back, paws up. Tough day for this cat, I tell you.
Listen, she feels safe.
I hope so. She ate
does.
3 times. She took monster dumps. She played. She sleeps. She has a life. But you know what? I would rather spend my Saturdays with my cat than anything else, man.
I hear you.
Call me a weirdo, but you know what? My cat, that's my girl right there.
Yep.
Unconditional love.
That's it, man.
And we got to team up with Pamela too at some point to get into the noble critters because I've become more passionate about animals as I've gotten older, and we'll get into that. And that's all part of the 2024 objectives here with Empowerment.
I'll put the link on below for the people that want to, get involved with her organization. Go check it out. She's super cool. So she's doing good things, and she's a real one. So I'll put that down below.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah, man.
Sounds like a plan, man. Well, I'm going to sign off from the free state of Florida. Ron, I love you. I'm not ashamed to admit it that I have a man crush. And he might be sanctimonious to some people, but you know what? He's still Ronnie D to me.
Listen, Greg T will be in Florida in a couple of weeks, so get ready. Coming back down.
Coming home.
Yeah. Find a karaoke place, please. Thank you. That's your homework.
Tin Roof down here in Delray.
Really? All right, perfect. Yeah. We gotta put on one of our concerts.
And the boat should be the boat should be ready by then, hopefully. So that'd be.
Oh man, that'll be cool. All right, sir.
Greggy T, awesome to everyone out there. God bless.
Yeah, be safe.
Be safe. Love and forgive each other.
Thanks for listening. All right.